There's a certain kind of heaviness that no vacuum, no candle, and no air freshener can clear. You walk into a room and the air just feels thick, not dirty, not messy, but heavy, as if someone left behind their frustration, their grief, or their fear, and the space never quite released it. You felt it before. Maybe it's the corner of your bedroom that always feels cold, or a hallway that drains your mood without reason, or a living room that looks perfectly fine but never feels fully alive. In classical feng shui, we don't label this kind of sensation as superstition or misfortune. We call it what it is: residual qi, energy that has settled, anchored, and taken root in your environment because no one gave it permission to leave. When we argue, grieve, worry, or simply endure long periods of emotional tension, that energy doesn't vanish. It absorbs into the silent surfaces of our homes, into the corners, into the walls, into the fibers of the furniture. And over time, those energetic residues begin to rewrite how a space behaves. They distort clarity. They interfere with rest. They make decision-making harder, emotions sharper, and momentum slower. Most people try to solve this with deep cleaning, a diffuser, or even rearranging furniture. But when qi is stuck, really stuck, you don't need scent, you need an absorber. That's where today's practice comes in. A practice rooted in centuries of energetic understanding, simple in form, yet potent in function. It doesn't require crystals, it doesn't require mantras, it doesn't even require belief. It only requires awareness, placement, and a few everyday items: 7 lemons, coarse salt in 1 plate, arranged with a specific spatial logic. This isn't a ritual, it's a reset. And when done correctly, it can lift the weight off a space in under 24 hours, clearing the kind of subtle heaviness that silently holds your life back. On this episode of New Day Mindfulness, we'll show you exactly how to perform this setup using grounded feng shui principles. We'll explore why lemons are more than just fruit, why salt is nature's most underused purifier, and why the way you place them matters far more than what you believe. No superstition, no symbolism overload, just precision, flow, and space that finally begins to breathe again. And stay with me, because toward the end of this video, I'll also share the most common placement mistake people make when trying this lemon setup. One that actually reverses the effect entirely and creates more emotional friction than it solves. It's a detail so many get wrong even if their ingredients are perfect. But once you understand it, you'll never make that mistake again. This video isn't just about lemons. It's about learning how to use your home as an active partner in your healing, your goals, and your peace of mind. Before we dive in, if this kind of grounded, real-world feng shui content resonates with you, I would truly appreciate your support. Please take a second to give this video a like, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. I'm on a mission to bring this ancient yet deeply practical knowledge to more homes, and every subscriber helps me reach the next milestone of 2,000 followers. Your support allows me to keep creating content that's not about trends or superstition, but about structure, intention, and meaningful change you can feel. Now let's begin. Let's change the energy of your space, not through hope, but through form, not through ritual, but through clarity. Let's place 7 lemons in the right location and watch the entire atmosphere of your home begin to reset, quietly, powerfully, permanently. Why energy lingers and where it hides. In classical feng shui, one of the most misunderstood ideas is that energy moves uniformly throughout a space. It doesn't. Qi, life force, or environmental energy does not behave like a smooth breeze, filling every corner equally. Instead, it flows like water, responding to shape, clutter, temperature, use, and emotional charge. It gathers, it slows, it sticks. And when left unattended, it stagnates. This stagnation often occurs in the areas we think least about. Corners that collect items we no longer use. Closets where nothing moves. Under furniture we haven't shifted in years. Behind doors that rarely open fully. These spaces are energetically dull, not because they're dirty or disorganized, but because they've stopped circulating chi. Think of them like dead zones in a river, pockets where water eddies endlessly and begins to grow murky. The symptoms of this are not always visible. You won't always find a mess, but you might notice the same conversation looping endlessly in your dining room. Or a sudden drop in clarity every time you sit in a certain chair. Or a strange weight in your body when you walk into your office, despite its clean surface and beautiful layout. These are not coincidences. These are spatial imprints. Where the energy settles, it begins to shape the human behavior that interacts with it. For example, if you make impulsive financial choices repeatedly in a specific room, say, online shopping you later regret, it's not just a lack of discipline, it might be energetic residue from past financial decisions still lingering in the field, subtly amplifying impulsiveness or urgency. If you argue with the same person every time you're in one room despite having harmony elsewhere, the energy in that room might be holding a memory of tension. And if you constantly feel tired or uninspired in one part of the house but fine everywhere else, that location might be holding stagnant chi that's affecting your nervous system on a subtle but daily level. This is why we use specific natural tools to reset energy, not to decorate, but to absorb. Lemons are one of the most accessible, affordable, and effective absorbers across cultures. In feng shui theory, lemons contain 3 elemental properties: wood, earth, and water. The wood element speaks to their life force. They are alive, fresh, and potent, resonating with growth and upward movement. The earth quality grounds and stabilizes. A lemon on a plate has weight, stillness, and presence. And the water aspect connects to purification. Lemon juice in many traditional systems is used to cleanse, refresh, and dissolve density. These 3 elements working together make the lemon a naturally balanced energy tool, not because it's spiritual, but because it holds structure. When placed with intention, it doesn't just sit in the room, it absorbs the signals the room is emitting and begins to neutralize them. The use of 7 lemons is not arbitrary. The number 7 in feng shui corresponds to a rhythm found across nature and life cycles. 7 notes in a musical scale, 7 layers in the human energy field, 7 days in a week, 7 stars in the Big Dipper. A constellation deeply tied to directional energy in feng shui. It is a structural rhythm, not mystical symbolism. When we use 7 lemons in a pattern, usually a circle or a symmetrical shape, we are coding a rhythm into the space. This structure is important because chi responds to geometry. When placed in a loose, intentional pattern, the lemons begin to create a soft field of absorption. They do not command or repel energy. They invite it, receive it, and gradually break it down. This is not the same as placing flowers which add chi. Lemons absorb what is no longer useful. They are neutralizers. This is also why they must be replaced. Unlike crystals, which amplify, or metal, which reflects, lemons exhaust their function once full. You can sometimes see this visually. The lemon softens, dulls, and eventually begins to mold. This is not decay, this is completion. The lemon has absorbed what it can, and now it must be retired respectfully, not discarded carelessly. Returning it to the earth by burying it or placing it in flowing water completes the cycle. And this cycle isn't mystical, it's ecological. Energy comes in, it serves, and then it's returned. When your home holds this kind of clarity, your behavior begins to reflect it. You stop repeating, you stop leaking, and you start moving forward. That's the true logic behind using lemons in feng shui. Not superstition, but structure that supports better function. When qi flows, life flows. When it collects in the right tools, the home becomes a quiet partner in your progress. And that changes everything. Building your lemon energy absorber. To build an effective lemon energy absorber in line with classical feng shui principles, we focus not on ritual or decoration, but on energetic function. Every item used in this setup has a purpose rooted in the 5-element theory and spatial flow dynamics. You are not placing objects for beauty. You are creating a temporary system to draw in, contain, and neutralize stagnant qi. Done properly, this method becomes one of the most grounded, accessible tools for clearing energetic heaviness from a space, particularly after conflict, stress, or emotional intensity. Begin with 7 fresh lemons. The number is essential, not because it is lucky, but because it creates rhythm. 7 is structurally balanced within the home's energy grid and aligns with the metaphysical model of 7 chakras, 7 traditional directions in Chinese cosmology, and 7-day cycles of renewal in energy cleansing logic. Choose lemons that are firm, vibrant, and without blemishes. Each one needs to be able to absorb energy without prematurely collapsing. Soft or aging lemons won't hold the field effectively. If you live in a dry climate, green limes may be used, though yellow lemons are more strongly associated with purification and emotional clarity. Next, select a plate made of either unglazed ceramic, white porcelain, or clear glass. Avoid plastic or metal. These materials either block energy flow in the case of metal or are energetically neutral in the case of plastic and do not support energetic programming. A white ceramic plate is ideal as it symbolizes clarity, neutrality, and purity. 3 conditions necessary for the absorbing function of this practice. Make sure the plate is wide enough to hold all 7 lemons with space in between each one. They should not touch. Their separation allows them to create a subtle energy field around the plate without diffusing each other's function. Place the lemons in a loose circular or lotus-like shape. The circle is not exact, but must feel symmetrical enough to signal order. This is not decoration, it's energetic containment. The shape you form with the lemons instructs the qi to enter in harmony and settle evenly. Random arrangement creates scatter, which weakens absorption. If your intuition draws you to a flower petal arrangement, that's fine. Just ensure balance is present. The shape should look intentional, not haphazard. Now take coarse sea salt, not iodized table salt, and gently form a ring around the lemons along the edge of the plate. Do not pour the salt over the lemons. The salt forms a perimeter, a boundary that both invites and contains. In Feng Shui, salt is the earth element in its most absorbent state. It pulls downward, stabilizes vibrations, and absorbs what is no longer serving the space. By forming a ring of salt, you are giving structure to the lemon field. You are telling the energy, come here, stay here, and do not re-enter the environment once absorbed. This is one of the most overlooked steps. Without the salt ring, the lemons still function. But their energetic boundary is open-ended, and that weakens the system's integrity. Place the finished plate in a quiet, static part of the room. This should not be near a door, a vent, a fan, a television, or a speaker. Moving air and sound create yang energy, which disrupts the inward pulling yin function of the absorber. You want a still zone, preferably a corner, a console table, or even under a bed, as long as it is not frequently disturbed. This is a passive tool and it works best in passive space. Avoid placing it near drains, especially in kitchens or bathrooms, where chai is being actively flushed. That movement contradicts the absorbing function and sends mixed signals to the energy field. Once placed, do not touch it. Do not explain it to guests or move it around the room to see where it works best. Let it sit undisturbed overnight or for at least 12 full hours. In this time, the lemons and salt are doing quiet, directional work, absorbing ambient chi that no longer serves a space. By morning, if the setup has done its job, you may notice a shift in temperature, smell, or mental clarity around that area. That's your cue. It's complete. To dispose of the lemons, do not throw them in the kitchen trash. This reintroduces the absorbed energy into your food preparation zone and into the daily energy stream of your home. Instead, return them to nature. Bury them in soil away from your front door or back exit. If that's not possible, place them in a compost bin or return them to flowing water. In Feng Shui, this is a form of energy release and gratitude. The earth reabsorbs what was stagnant and transforms it naturally. For those seeking to deepen the effect, place a small white or yellow candle nearby during the night. This introduces fire energy to balance the heavy absorbing nature of the lemons and salt. Light the candle only if the room is ventilated and safe. The flame reinforces intention. It's not essential, but when used correctly, it strengthens the overall energetic contrast of the space, inviting new, vital chi to begin entering as the old energy exits. Done weekly or after major emotional events, arguments, illness, loss, or transition, this lemon setup becomes a steady, simple tool to reclaim your space. No mysticism, no theatrics, just grounded, practical energy structure that lets your home begin again. When lemons change the energy of a powerful home, there's something powerful about knowing that even in the homes of the world's most successful figures, where every object is curated and every detail refined, energy still matters, not in a mystical sense, but in a functional one. Take, for example, the story that quietly surfaced from an interview with one of Beyoncé's interior designers, describing how her home environment was designed not just for beauty, but for balance. Amid the grandeur and design sophistication, there was one unexpected detail that stood out: a small space reserved for energetic release. No spotlight, no fanfare, just a quiet corner holding a simple bowl of fresh lemons and sea salt. It wasn't for fragrance. It wasn't for decoration. It was for something else entirely. According to the designer, Beyoncé reportedly mentioned that this space helped her feel lighter when the world feels loud. That phrase says everything. Not lighter as in less burdened by work, because her schedule is among the most intense on the planet, but lighter in terms of energy. When you're constantly producing, performing, creating, and giving, even the most well-kept environment can become saturated with mental clutter and emotional debris. And even with teams to clean, organize, and maintain her home, there was a recognition that something deeper needed clearing, something invisible but palpable. This practice wasn't advertised or framed as feng shui, but the logic behind it is unmistakably aligned. In feng shui, qi builds in layers. Physical movement and emotional output leave behind energy patterns, residue that settles into the walls, corners, and air. Over time, this unspoken buildup affects clarity, confidence, and creative flow. What Beyoncé and her team intuitively practiced was a foundational truth in spatial energy work. You need a place for old energy to leave before new energy can enter. The bowl of lemons refreshed regularly didn't just neutralize heaviness. It created a buffer zone between the world and her inner space. A boundary, a reset point, a quiet contract between her environment and her next moment. This isn't about celebrity emulation, it's about energetic leadership. You don't need a mansion or a design team to make this work. You don't even need special equipment. You need a clean surface, 7 fresh lemons, some salt, and clarity of purpose. What matters most isn't what you use, it's how you use it. Beyoncé did not need to label her practice. She simply created a container for energetic return. That's feng shui in its purest form, designing your environment to support your evolution. And that's the real takeaway. Whether you're navigating global fame or simply managing the pressures of daily life, your space is either absorbing what's unnecessary or amplifying what's essential. When you give energy a place to land, a bowl of lemons, a ring of salt, a small candle, you are offering your space a way to participate in your healing and your progress. You're saying, this home doesn't just store my stuff, it holds my state. And once that message becomes part of your design, you don't just feel lighter, you move lighter, live lighter, and think with more precision. So don't wait for a breakdown or burnout to create your own release point. Start today. A kitchen counter, a shelf in your office, the far corner of your bedroom. No explanation necessary, just intention. Let the lemons do their work quietly, the way they always have, pulling the noise from your space so the next version of you can rise in silence, in strength, and in full momentum. That's not a superstition. That's strategy, grounded, repeatable, and proven, whether by a pop icon or by you. Where to place the lemon setup. Where you place your lemon energy setup is just as critical as how you build it. In Feng Shui, placement is not about guesswork or convenience. It's about energetic precision. Every direction and location in a home holds its own frequency, function, and influence on the occupant's mental, emotional, and financial well-being. When deploying a setup designed to absorb and neutralize stagnant qi, understanding the energetic zones of your space allows you to magnify the effectiveness of the absorber and avoid placement errors that could dilute or even reverse its intended benefits. The most ideal location for the lemon setup is the southeast corner of your home or the southeast zone of a particular room. In classical Feng Shui, this direction is associated with wealth, growth, and upward mobility, not just financially, but in terms of personal momentum and clarity. The southeast governs sustained progress, not lucky breaks. When you place a container of lemons and salt here, you signal a readiness to release energetic friction around finances, ambition, and decision-making. You're telling the space, clear the path forward. Because this sector is naturally aligned with wood energy and lemons resonate with wood and earth, their presence here amplifies their function without conflict. If the southeast corner isn't accessible or feels disrupted by other elements, the next most powerful location is the center of your home, often called the heart palace in Feng Shui. This is the energetic nucleus of your entire living space. When this area is clear, the entire home feels coherent. When it's blocked, the home feels unstable, no matter how clean or stylish the rooms may appear. Placing your lemon absorber here invites a whole home reset. Just make sure this area isn't cluttered, stacked with random furniture, or covered by rugs hiding structural flaws. Placement in inappropriate locations can quietly undo all your efforts. One of the biggest mistakes is placing the lemon setup in a bathroom, even if that bathroom is located in the southeast. Bathrooms are designed to eliminate. Their energy is inherently draining. Water flows out, not in. No matter how well decorated or clean the space, placing an absorber in a bathroom leads to constant energetic leakage. It's like trying to fill a bowl under a faucet that never stops draining. It can't retain what it gathers. The same goes for placing the setup next to trash bins. Trash symbolizes rejection, decay, and the final stage of energy's usefulness. When you place a tool designed to hold and transmute energy beside something whose function is to discard, you create energetic conflict. The lemons will still absorb, but the message to your subconscious in the room's qi becomes one of confusion. Are we holding or dumping? That ambiguity weakens results. Another often overlooked factor is airflow. Avoid placing your setup directly beneath ceiling fans or strong air conditioning vents. These features introduce constant yang energy, active, sharp, and dispersing. The lemon setup is a yin-based structure, meaning it pulls inward and downward. Fans disrupt that stillness. scattering absorbed energy prematurely and weakening the field's integrity. You don't want a swirling vortex around your absorber. You want calm containment. Equally important is staying away from electronic equipment like routers, speakers, televisions, or large appliances. These items generate frequency interference and high levels of yang qi that compete with the soft, passive energy field the lemons are cultivating. Routers especially emit invisible but constant electromagnetic activity that keeps the surrounding space loud, energetically speaking. Placing lemons near that kind of interference means they never truly settle into their job, constantly agitated by the background noise of technology. For best results, place the lemons in an area where emotional stagnation has been most felt. This is often a corner that feels dim or cold despite lighting, a section of a room where arguments always seem to start, or even a nightstand next to a side of the bed that's associated with poor sleep or restless thoughts. These areas don't need to be public-facing. In fact, the most powerful transformations often happen in spaces that aren't on display, because those are the places where emotional energy hides. Once you've selected your location, take time to clean the surface thoroughly before placement. Wipe away dust, clear out unrelated objects, and center the setup with focus. This tells the space you're ready to shift. After 24 or 48 hours, discard the lemons responsibly. Never reuse them. Their energetic function is complete. Reuse would reintroduce the residue they've worked to absorb. Treat this practice with the same respect you would offer any healing tool, because that's what it is, not a display, but a reset. A pause that invites your space to stop carrying what no longer belongs. When placed well, this simple setup becomes an anchor point of energetic relief. And over time, that relief becomes a new baseline, one of stillness, clarity, and grounded release. The lemons aren't magical. The salt isn't mystical. And this practice isn't a ritual in the way we've come to define rituals: heavy, sacred, ceremonial. It's something far more practical and far more powerful. It's a reset. When you prepare 7 lemons, place them with salt on a plate and let them sit silently in a corner of your home. You're not casting a spell. You're telling your environment, we're done carrying what's old. This space is no longer a container for stress, for past tension, for the emotional noise that no longer serves. It's an invitation for chai to recalibrate, not toward perfection, but toward function. Because in feng shui, that's what matters most. Not aesthetics, not tradition, but the functionality of flow. This isn't about clearing bad luck. That's an outdated idea. Energy doesn't punish, it repeats, it loops, it amplifies. And when your home keeps amplifying tired energy or looping emotions you thought you'd let go of, the answer isn't wishing for better luck. The answer is structure. Lemons create space. Salt doesn't attract wealth, it stops loss, it contains, it neutralizes, it lets your environment exhale. So what you're really doing with this practice is teaching your home how to hold a different frequency. And just like a good friend or partner, when you begin to treat your space with attention and intention, it begins to support you back. The response may be quiet at first, a moment of clarity where confusion once sat, an unexpected sense of calm where anxiety usually lives, a conversation that doesn't spiral into conflict, or a simple night of sleep that feels deeper than before. These are not coincidences. They are signs that the momentum is shifting, that your space, your nervous system, and your decisions are no longer being shaped by what was stuck. They're being informed by what's now clear. That's the energy of progress, not mysticism, momentum. So here's your invitation. Before tonight ends, take a few minutes. Choose a quiet corner. Wipe it down. Set up your lemon plate, 7 lemons, coarse salt, a stable surface. No need to chant, no need to light incense or visualize anything complex. Just place it and let it do what it's built to do. Absorb, quietly, effectively, without needing praise. And if you feel something shift, or even if all you notice is that your home feels a little lighter, a little more yours, then I invite you to share this video with someone who's been moving through something heavy, someone who could use a reset, not a ritual. And if this message brought you clarity, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. Your support brings us closer to our goal of reaching 2,000 followers. More importantly, it helps us keep creating thoughtful, grounded feng shui guidance that meets people where they are, with wisdom that doesn't overpromise, but always delivers. Thank you for being here. May your space become a mirror of your clarity, not your confusion. And may the lemons do their work, quietly, completely, and just in time.